Okay.
Let me mute this.
Weapon online.
So, it's supposed to be on what they're calling the prelims. It's weird how they're doing that. They're not calling it the Mayweather McGregor undercard pre-show. They're labeling it like it's a UFC event. But August 26th, 2017, supposed to be on free TV Fox. And I'm interested to see if this is okay. I'm having a feeling that the UFC is going to be doing this. Whatever. Let me save my theory for later until I'm able to word it properly. But Shawn Porter is going to be taking on Tomas Dulorme on the free TV. It's not PBC on Fox. It's supposed to be Mayweather McGregor undercard, but on free TV. And you're wondering why he faces Tomas Dulorme when Tomas Dulorme hasn't fought since what? He fought a guy by the name of Brian Jones, untelevised fight, Barclays Center. That was January the 14th. He fought Jesus Gorola fight over in Spain. He won both of those fights by stoppages. And then in 2015, March of 2015, over 2 years ago, he fought Terrence Crawford, and Terrence Crawford stopped him. So I'm sure you've heard the rumors, or if you haven't, the rumors of Tomas Dulorme being an Uber driver over there in Vegas. He's been working in the Mayweather gym. And truth be told, I think this fight is happening is because basically they're trying to keep Shawn Porter busy. But also, Tomas Dulorme will likely take short money because in this landscape of boxing now, you have Heyman, who has multiple fighters who make $1 million plus a fight. But in order to get $1 million plus fighter versus $1 million plus fighter on Showtime takes really a lot. You see what I'm saying? Not a lot that's in the budget, but the undercard has to skimp a little bit. So it's like this. I know that Shawn Porter is likely going to get a lot of heat, but he's not going to get a lot of heat from a lot of the people who was clowning other fighters for taking fights like this. You see what I'm saying? But I understand, from what I've learned from the sport of boxing over the last, especially 3 years, is that, these fights can be acceptable to fans under certain circumstances. For example, Jamal Charlo is still getting heat for fighting Jorge Sebastian Hyland because fans don't understand that he had to fight him to get his name to be next for that WBC title. He had to fight him. When Danny Garcia fought Zamia Vargas, he got so much heat. But I knew that fight, he had to get past that fight or win that fight to be able to get the Keith Thurman. The Keith Thurman fight was already signed and sealed. Also, this is not something new in boxing that's been happening as far as, great fighters, great champions, future Hall of Fame fighters would take these little, in-between fights to get to the next level. This is not new. It's just that, the education of the boxing fans, or more so the media, are not doing enough to educate the fans. Now, however, I understand, that we want to see big fights. I understand that. But when you look at the situation Shawn Porter is in, nobody's really lining up to fight him. Now, the number one question you may have is, well, what's going on with him versus Danny Garcia? Now, for one, the WBC hasn't ordered it yet. Now, just because the WBC orders a fight doesn't mean it has to happen. It doesn't mean like, oh, shit, y'all got to negotiate, or whatever the case may be. Now, if you do leave your fighters in, those rankings and don't get them into another fight and, a purse bid can happen. But let me tell you about Porter versus Garcia. Now, Keith Thurman is injured. He probably won't be back until about, you can probably say February is going to seem a little too soon. It might be March. I know you may think like, damn, that's a long ass time, but he's been injured, elbow injury. Of course, he got married, and basically he can't start resuming like contact or doing training for like another 3-4 months from now, if I'm correct. 3-4 months, if I'm correct. And then, he would have to have an 8-week training camp. So if you do the math, he's not going to be back for a while. So Thurman beat Garcia. Andrew Garcia, the father and trainer of Danny Garcia, basically said that there was a rematch. So you have to assume there was a rematch clause. Shawn Porter beat Andre Berto. I was there. That fight was in April. Was it in May? It was in April. and that was to be the #1 contender for Keith Thurman. But then Keith Thurman was injured, and Shawn Porter at the post-fight press conference alluded to, well, I understand, quote unquote, he has obligations. I just wanted him to say that he was going to fight me. You know? Well, that last part was paraphrasing. So what I'm saying is Shawn Porter basically confirmed that Thurman has to fight Danny Garcia next when he returns and then fight Shawn Porter. But since Thurman was injured, this is the perfect reason for an interim belt and why interim titles are made. When a champion is injured or there's something stopping a champion from fighting, you make an interim title. This is the perfect scenario. So when they order an interim champion or interim title fight, they usually take the #1 and the #2 guys in the rankings and put them together, which was Shawn Porter and Danny Garcia. So the WBC hasn't officially ordered it yet, but I kind of knew that they were going to order it once I heard that Keith Thurman was injured, especially when I heard how long he was going to be injured. So I said, oh, well, they're going to order #1 and #2 to fight. Now, the WBC, we've seen can, do some maneuvering. For example, if a fighter takes step-aside money, that fighter who takes the step-aside money can be ordered to fight for the interim title. So basically, in a situation of Bermane Stiverne and Deontay Wilder, if Bermane Stiverne was to take step-aside money, even though he's not injured, then he would be ordered to fight for the WBC interim to allow Deontay Wilder to fight Luis Ortiz. So just to, basically, the point I'm trying to make is, if this is, like, Tomas Dulorme is a good name. He's not, like, a bad name. It's just that people want to see Shawn Porter against better competition. So if this is one of those fights where, remember, he's fought already in April, the end of April. And he's fighting now, it's going to be the end of August. So he can squeeze in a fight in November or December. So if this is a 3-fight, year for him, and usually fighters on his level don't get 3 fights, and then his next fight is a big fight, then you got to, kind of wait and see. But if he doesn't have a big fight at the end of this year, then next year, that's when you got to start like, okay, he only fought Andre Berto and Dulorme last year. But like I said, a lot of people are not going to give Shawn Porter no heat for it. I'm not going to give him heat for it because I know how to, the nature of the beast and how like the politics and boxing work. But what I'm talking about is you have certain boxing media members that just be sucking so much, I hate to say this, excuse my language, sucking so much dick when it comes to these boxers. It's like, yo, but wait a minute, you clowning such and such for this, but you won't try to clown him for that. It's like, yo, but you're supposed to be media and people listen to you, So, I can understand how fans would be upset, but like I said, knowing the business, this is not nothing. This is not new that fighters do stuff like this. This is not new, and I'm just glad to see him busy. He's a good dude. And plus, he's an exciting fighter that people want to see. Certain people, like, Shawn Porter's like this. Let me name some fighters, like Shawn Porter, Willie Monroe, I was going to say Demetrius Andrade, but he's basically, I was just naming like certain fighters that it's like everybody likes. It's like, how can you not like such and such? He's always a cool dude, like Anthony Joshua. It's like he's always, how do you not like him? He's a cool dude, So you can always like want nothing good, but good for Shawn Porter. It's just that now they got to keep him active. And then if you look, remember he only had that one fight in 2016. So I see what they're doing. Like why play the waiting game? And also you can get him that exposure. If he's fighting on free TV, it's going to be on Fox. It's not called PBC on Fox. It's going to be on Fox. He's getting that free TV, Mayweather McGregor UFC exposure to those fans and shit. And they see, oh shit, Shawn Porter. So looking at it from a marketing standpoint, if Shawn Porter goes out there and do what many fans expect him to do, and that's put a boot in Tomas Dulorme's ass, you got those UFC fans like, oh shit, who is this guy? This guy's an animal. And he fights like an animal. It's going to be some head butts up in there. It's going to be some crazy, not intentional, but it's going to be some crazy shit going on up in there. I feel bad for Tomas Dulorme in a way, but at the same time, hey, listen, he getting that exposure too. And then for crying out loud, the guy's out there driving Uber. No bullshit. He's out there driving Uber. So of course he needs the bread. He better take this money. If he out there driving Uber and shit, can you imagine? Like you coming out your hotel, you leaving, wherever you leaving from, shit, your side piece crib, and you get into the car, right? And you call your Uber, and you look up, you're like, oh, this motherfucking, you motherfucking Tomas Dulorme. I can't imagine if that was me, if I go out and I see my Uber, and it's like somebody like, oh shit, You know, like if I see somebody like Aaron McKee from the Sixers all those years ago, or Eric Snow, I'm like, yo, you motherfucking, you know, in the Uber. It's not like a real star name, but it's a name that people know. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm down for it. I'm down for it because, you know, I want to see fighters active. And especially when I know what's going on with the Al Heyman fighters right now. He's got too many fighters, not enough networks. And the fighters, a lot of them don't seem to understand that this is not the old when PBC first began and he was just giving out checks and fights like it was candy. It's not those days anymore. It's not those days in the Heyman camp anymore. So when a fighter's offered to you, you better take that shit, get that money, because you don't know when you're going to fight again. And also you have the fighters who are pricing themselves out when it's like it's just not that much money you go around no more, you know? I'm T-Shirt Controversy. This is T-Shirt Controversy Live. We're working on it, man. We're getting our ass to Vegas. In fact, let me check my email right now. We're getting our ass to Vegas. You know, they're going to play some politics with the fight, you know, let a whole bunch of casual media members in and all that. We're working around it. We're working around it. So I ain't going to sit here and bullshit you around and say I know I'm getting to the fight, even though people don't want me to be there anyway. But guess what? Hey, listen. We're going to get it done. We've been getting shit done. We've been making moves. And I just want to cover boxing, man. Just want to cover boxing. That's all I want, man. That's all I want. I'm T-Shirt Controversy. This is T-Shirt Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. All the links to my social media are right down below in the description box. Please subscribe.